Good morning, my brothers and sisters, and all my friends. This morning we are going to talk about Madhu Vidya, the second holy river of the trilogy of Bharat Vidya. And as we talked yesterday, the unity is God. And according to the rustic wisdom of rural India, who got the message and the core teaching from the Vedic civilization of the rishis and munis living in the forest. And the rural India is the India of Vedic times and practicing the values and principles of the Vedic culture and civilization. And their rustic wisdom says, the village is God. When everybody in the village, all the men, women and children are existing with each other, with one mind and one heart, united in the great evolutionary urge and aspiration to create the ecosystem of peace, progress and prosperity for everybody, and happiness of everybody, and happy existence of everybody in the village, then God emerges out of that unity. So the unity is God. We have learned it yesterday. So in the same continuation, I would like to say that charity begins at home. We have to begin our journey of Madhu Vidya within. And we have to establish not a static unity, but a dynamic unity between our consciousness. And the consciousness which dwells in two centers, the mind and heart. We learn through cognition about the world. Then our mind gives the interpretations using the experiential wisdom, and then it concludes about a phenomena. As in yoga it says, drishya and drishta, the one who sees and one which is the scenario. So one is the observer, another one is the observed, the scenario, the world, the material world. So once it is concluded, it is transferred, it must be transferred to the emotional center, the heart center. And when it goes to the heart center, it can be transformed into action through emotion, with the help of the emotion. And that is the greatest contribution of the heart center, that the heart center can transform the wisdom content into emotion. And once it is transformed into the emotion, then it takes the shape of desire. And then when the desire is creative desire, dynamic desire, then it travels back to the mind and says, now is the time to use the willpower. And now is the time to make a resolution and have a firm intention to perform the action. So the wisdom is transformed into action by the unity of mind and heart. If we don't have the unity of mind and heart, the wisdom content will never be transformed into action. And if it is not transformed into action with the help of the heart center, heart chakra, the whole exercise of wisdom processing, the whole exercise of cognition, and then the wisdom processing with the help of the experiential wisdom, but it stays like a quantum cloud in our mind, and it is never translated into action, and it never becomes the true karma. As Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Karmanyavadhikariste ma phalesu kadachana. Do your duty and don't worry about the result. So Lord Krishna is teaching us to take away the anxiety of any action, because when that action is dedicated to the universal welfare, there is no anxiety because you are a volunteer. Only a victim has the anxiety, and that's the reason the anxiety prompts him to complain all the time, like the Job in Holy Bible. That character in the Holy Bible complains all the time. The Job. Because the poor Job was feeling victim all the time. But if you are existing in the volunteer mode, universal volunteer, then there is no complaint. And then there is no anxiety either. And you do your karma, like what Lord Krishna says to us, Karmanyavadhikariste ma phalesu kadachana. And that karma, which we do without anxiety and which we dedicate to the universal welfare, there is no residue to entangle us in the next birth, because it is contributed wholeheartedly, and there is no residue, there is nothing left, and there are no reactions. This is the beauty of good karma, the divine karma, the karma without asking for results, karma without anxiety. My dear brothers and sisters, we have to establish the unity of mind and heart to transform the wisdom into action. And that action must be dedicated to the universal welfare. And also, of course, good of ourselves and good of everybody else. We have to have that balance. We cannot go overboard to deny our welfare, because when we deny our welfare, we become escapist. And that is also the problem of victimhood, and we could never work like volunteers. So we have to work good for ourselves, at the same time good for everybody else. That is the harmony and the unity and the balance we need to create in our karma, in our action. And our action must be dedicated like the step of Lord Shiva and the step of great Maharshi Charak and the great Mahatma Gandhi, great leader of 20th century. My dear brothers and sisters, we have to create the unity. We have to begin at home. The charity begins at home. So we have to create this unity of mind and heart. And that is the process of yoga. That is the meaning of yoga. Bringing these together, putting these together, adding these together as one unit and taking away the duality. The great game of duality is neutralized by this unity of mind and heart. My dear brothers and sisters, there is something here more. And what is that? That we have to work at the subtle level for creating this unity. And as we know that our consciousness works in two fronts, as every phenomena, as every entity, in every character and quality has two polarities. We know that. Where there is cold, there is heat. There are just the difference of graduation, the difference of grades, difference of the degrees, the quantity, how much is heat and how much is cold. My dear brothers and sisters, where there is dark, there is light. There is only the difference of grades, difference of the quantity. So we know there are two polarities for everything. So is the two polarities. We have to understand this great law of polarities. And this great law of polarities tells us that our mind also has two polarities. One is objective mind and another one is subjective mind. One is conscious mind, the other one is subconscious mind. So we have to create the unity. We have to bring about the unity of our two polarities of our consciousness, the subjective and objective. And we have to have the great balance and harmony of these two. We cannot be on one side of the polarity. We cannot be only objective and deny the subjective part. We cannot be subjective and we cannot deny the objective part. We have to have that balance. My dear brothers and sisters, that's what the Mother Nature gave us. The Mother Nature brought us through the evolution, through the evolutionary arch, in the center, in the middle of these two polarities. As we know, in the spectrum of color, the green is in the center. We know that in these two polarities, humanity is in the center. As Lord Buddha taught us the path of middle path, the path of harmony and path of balance. So we have to reconcile these two polarities, because these two polarities are representing two extremes of two infinities. So when we reconcile the extremes of our consciousness, of good and evil, as we talked about the churning of the ocean within in our own body, using the great serpent, the mind, as a rope, and our firm resolution, Shiva Sankalpa, as the Mount Meru, and the good thoughts as the gods, and the evil thoughts as titans. So the whole churning goes on, the wisdom processing. And we have to reach to the balance. And we have to reach to the harmony and the unity of mind and heart. And that's the subtle activism which must happen in us through meditation, through contemplation, and through wisdom processing. We must reach to this harmony and this middle path, this equilibrium. My dear brothers and sisters, when we, in the act of balancing and creating unity of mind and heart, we will also come across with the two genders of our mind. And this subjective mind and objective mind act like male and female. As we know that we have a genetic legacy of having both the genders in our genetic apparatus, in our genome. Every man has a little woman, and every woman has a little man within, in our genome. So my dear brothers and sisters, if we overboard, if we are only male and we deny the right to the female consciousness, the female gender, the female within, if we don't appreciate the differences to bring about the unity, the very first step, the foundation stone, is to appreciate the differences. When we hate, we detest, where we dislike the differences, there will never be any unity till the eternity. There will be no unity possible till we dislike the differences. So the very foundation stone is start liking the differences. Start liking the differences and the diversity of the Mother Nature. Start appreciating the differences and the diversity of the forms and the colors and all kind of philosophies and creeds. The time we start appreciating all the differences around, we will start seeing the best in them. Because all the differences, every difference has its own essence. And believe me, if you dig deep, if you really dig deep and go deep into it, that difference will show you the divinity. You will see the divinity even in difference. So we have to start appreciating, not only liking, but go beyond. And let's, through the appreciation of the differences, we can go to the second step of respecting, having Shraddha. We have to develop Shraddha, cultivate Shraddha. There is no counterpart, no word available to me in English for Shraddha, but which comes very near is reverence. So my dear brothers and sisters, we have to begin with appreciation. We have to appreciate. Every man must appreciate. If he ever wants to be honest, because the whole foundation is based on truth. And one can never understand truth without honesty. One can never follow truth without honesty. So when we recognize this fact that we have both the polarities in us, within us, in our genome, in our genetic apparatus, and in our genetic legacy. So every man must learn how to appreciate the differences between male and female, and try to see and try to appreciate so much deeply the female, the divine feminine. Believe me, my brothers, I'm addressing to every man on the planet today, this morning, that believe me, my brothers, when you will try to appreciate the divine feminine, you will enter into the heaven. Because you will see how great and how beautiful the divine feminine is. And then from appreciation, you must move to respecting. And from respecting, you must move to reverence. At the time when you move to the reverence, my brothers, believe me, you will have darshan of Mother Goddess, the divine feminine. The infinite trust, the Mother Goddess which has infinite trust. And the male polarity is the polarity of infinite innocence. And the female polarity of our mind is the infinite trust. Can you imagine Mother Parvati, the other half of Lord Shiva? How could any woman ever think of staying with a man who has smeared his whole body all over with a cremation ashes and having cobras as the garlands, the dangerous cobras as the garlands? Can you imagine how Shiva looks like? That image. If the divine feminine, Mother Parvati, doesn't love him so much, or doesn't practice the infinite trust in him, do you think she could stay with him, next to him? No, not possible. It was also demonstrated, as it is demonstrated by Lord Shiva and Parvati as Ardhanarishwara, the two together, the great harmony and the unity of both the genders, male and female, the infinite innocence and infinite trust. And that is what our evolutionary station of the human child is. And it's also demonstrated by the great avatara, Lord Krishna and Radha, where they used to see each other in the mirror of their heart, Radha used to see her own face in the heart of Krishna, in the mirror of Krishna, in the heart mirror of Krishna. And she used to feel that I'm Krishna. And Krishna, when looking at Radha, used to see his own face in the mirror in Radha's heart. And Krishna used to feel, I'm Radha. Do you know that they used to play with each other? Krishna dressing up like Radha and Radha dressing up like Krishna. Going beyond the forms, going beyond the genders and creating the unity together. And that is the way to create unity in our heart and mind, in our subjective and objective polarities of our mind, our consciousness, and the little female within every man, and every female has a little man in there. And to create that harmony is to learn to practice truth. The Satya Dharma, the religion of truth, which says Satyata Nasti Paro Dharma. If we don't reach to these depths of thought and emotion, my dear brothers and sisters, we won't be able to practice Satya Dharma, the religion of truth. There is no religion greater than the truth, and that must be our destination. That must be our mission in life, to establish the great unity, to establish the great harmony between our objective and subjective mind, in our mind and heart, in our both the polarities, in Lord Shiva and Parvati and Radha and Krishna. That depth, and the process is to start appreciating the other half, the other polarity, the other gender. And then from appreciation move to respect, and from respect move to reverence. Believe me, you will enter the heaven, the kingdom of God within. And that is the first lesson of Madhu Vidya. Thank you very much, and have a very, very beautiful day, my brothers and sisters and my dear friends. Have a beautiful day.